In this Q&A video, we're going to answer the question, do I need to install an arc fault detection device or AFDD? Just before we explain the answer to this question, please be aware that this video is one of a series that we've made on the subject of electrical design in association with BG Electrical, part of the Luceco group. They can be viewed individually, or you can click the link in the description below to view them as part of a free online training package to help you with your CPD, and you'll receive a certificate to prove you've completed the course. Okay, so the AFDD has been peeking its head above the parapet for some time now. They started to make their presence felt in the original 18th edition, and with it some murmurings from the electrical industry regarding their cost and effectiveness. But looking at the information in the original version of the 18th edition, we found Regulation 421.1.7, which stated that arc fault detection devices conforming to BSEN 62606 are recommended as a means of providing additional protection against fire caused by arc faults in AC final circuits. And it gave some examples of where they could be used, including premises with sleeping accommodation, locations with a risk of fire due to the nature of processed or stored materials, i.e. BE2 locations like barns, woodworking shops, stores of combustible materials, locations with combustible construction materials, i.e. CA2 locations like wooden buildings, fire propagating structures, i.e. CB2 locations, locations with endangering of irreplaceable goods. But let's jump to the updated regulation in the Second Amendment, which tightens up the requirement by adjusting the wording used. 421.1.7 arc fault detection devices, AFDD, conforming to BSEN 62606 shall be provided for single-phase AC final circuits supplying socket outlets with a rated current not exceeding 32 amps in higher risk residential buildings, houses in multiple occupation, purpose-built student accommodation and care homes. So notice there the word shall was used. So in all these places mentioned there, you have to install AFDDs on circuits supplying sockets with a rating of up to and including 32 amps. There's no exceptions mentioned here at all. And just in case you're wondering what a higher risk residential building is, there's a definition there in note 1, which reads, higher risk residential buildings are assumed to be residential buildings over 18 metres in height or in excess of 6 stories, whichever is met first. It is anticipated that in many areas, higher risk residential buildings will be defined in legislation, which can be subject to change over time, as well as in risk management procedures adopted by fire and rescue services. Current legislation should be applied. As that points out, the definition of HRRBs is laid out in legislation and can change over time. It's worth noting that residential in this context doesn't just refer to where people live or sleep, but also includes areas where people may reside during the day for work, so office blocks could be included under these circumstances as well. Local planning offices should be consulted if you're in doubt. Now, in this series, we've been carrying out the design of a circuit that supplies this 9 kilowatt Fusion Comet electric boiler from the electric heating company, and we haven't really considered what kind of property it's in. Of course, it's not a final circuit supplying socket outlets, so it's not included in the scope of this part of the regulation. So what about other installations that fall outside the 4 bullet points mentioned in that regulation there? Does BS 7671 require the use of an AFDD for any other type of circuit or other locations? Well, the regulation continues. For all other premises, the use of AFDDs conforming to BSEN 62606 is recommended for single-phase AC final circuits supplying socket outlets not exceeding 32 amps. So the use of an AFDD is recommended for socket circuits up to and including 32 amps in rating, no matter where they're being used, but there's no mention of other circuits that need to have AFDDs installed to them. So we don't have to install an AFDD to our circuit, and it will be perfectly compliant with the regs. So is that the end of the story? Well, not quite. It's always good to remember that the regulations are the minimum standard and that there's nothing wrong with adding some extra protection to our electrical installations. You'll sometimes hear people say that the regs are a floor, not a ceiling. In other words, there's nothing wrong with going beyond what they require. It's very likely that we'll start to see an increase in the stringency of the requirements for AFDDs as their use increases and the cost of them comes down. But let's just think for a minute about what an AFDD does. Arc faults are caused when the PVC insulation around a conductor starts to overheat and carbonise. This is most often caused by connections that are either poorly made or have become weak over time. When this carbonisation happens, it can feed into the effects of the poor connection and cause arcs to form within the circuit. This of course can lead to fire and damage to properties and people or livestock, and this is something we desperately want to avoid. Now, it does take quite a bit of current to cause an arc to form and be sustained, so this type of fault is far more common on more heavily loaded circuits. So things like EV chargers and heavy heating loads that are sustained for a while, like panel heaters, electric showers and electric boilers maybe. So as our circuit is fed in a PVC insulated cable and is quite a heavy load, while it's absolutely not a requirement for our circuit to have an AFDD in order to be compliant with BS 7671, it's exactly this type of circuit where your judgment may suggest to you that it would be a good idea to fit one. If you're watching this as a standalone video, then let me know what you think about this suggestion in the comments below. So there we go. Those are some points to consider when we're thinking about whether or not to install an AFDD to our circuits. For more information on Luceco products, check out this video right here or click the link in the description below to complete our free training package on electrical design in order to help you with your CPD, and you'll receive a certificate as well. All that remains in this series of videos is to say thank you very much for watching.